Welcome to How to Homeschool Radio, the show where we help new and veteran homeschoolers create a successful homeschool that works for their families. Whether you're thinking about homeschooling, just started homeschooling, or have been homeschooling for years, you've come to the right place. I'm your host, Judy Sardin, homeschooling coach, homeschooling mom of two, and author of Sardin's Practical Guide, How to Start Homeschooling. Are you ready? Let's get to it. I'm here with Pam Andrews, and she's going to talk to us about the Scholarship Shark, which she's written a book about it, and she has a program where she can help you to get your high school students prepared for getting scholarships for college. So Pam, I've already kind of given a brief overview of who you are. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First, thanks, Judy, for having me. I love talking with homeschoolers.
Yes.
Because I am one. So I'm a homeschool mom of four. You know, even though one is in college, will always be a homeschool mom of four. And so he's in his senior year of college. I have a senior in high school, a junior in high school, and then a fourth grader.
Oh.
I've homeschooled. Yeah. Yes, I'll be doing this for a very long time. I've homeschooled all the way from the beginning. So it's been a very long time. Different points have been a leader in the homeschool community, either through our co-op or our local association, very active and involved, and also a business owner throughout as well. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. Didn't expect to be, but I just really am. And I tend to find. So my undergraduate degree is in engineering. So I'm a problem solver, a creative, a thinker, a builder. And when I see a problem, I'm not a complainer. I'm a fixer, which can be good. It can be not good because, I try to fix people and all that, talk to my husband. And so whenever I see something that's not working or something I can systematize and repeat it, then it's like, this is interesting. So yeah, I think that's why I will just probably always be a business owner of some sort. So yeah.
And I do we're going to have another episode where Pam talks about her entrepreneurial endeavors. So you guys can stay tuned for that.
Great.
Awesome. So, all right. So Scholarship Shark, what is it?
Yeah, so we are a college admissions consulting firm. We work with high school students with the college admissions process, ideally starting in the 10th grade. Sometimes, we get seniors, parents either hear about us or they're just thinking about my student is a senior about to graduate, we need to figure this out, what to do. But ideally in the 10th grade, because you have some time on your side to help them think about their next steps, prepare for it, do some academic planning, plan their summers, make them strategic and very smart and all that good stuff. And even families to position themselves financially and begin to think about that. So it's the entire college admissions process. I had done this years ago before I got married, before I had kids. And so I was familiar with it and had worked with a couple of students. I focused on STEM and student athletes at the time. And of course, they're now in their 30s and they're married with kids. And, of course, my little, just turned 9, it's like the age of some of them. I'm like, whoa, we kept going. Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool. So when we see them sometimes, different students and catch up with them. But so, and did well with it. So when it came time for my son in about maybe his junior year, to begin the process, I started working with another local family because we were just talking one day in a co-op, and I said, I can help you, with the process. So sort of informally got back into it with her son. And then with my son, a year later, when he, was going through the process, I told him, I know exactly what you need to do. If you will work with me, I can help you get to where you're going. Of course, he didn't know, he didn't have a choice. He was going to work with me because I'm the mama. That's kind of how it goes. And so he did. And as a result, he won. And I'll say the number, but I'll explain it. He won over $700,000 in scholarships, which covers him completely through graduate school. So he has 2 years, the one scholarship, 2 years after he graduates from undergrad to take advantage of that. So that's where we are right now. Like, he's so ready to go into the workforce. I'm like, yes, but you have this great opportunity. And, and I'm like, I'm the mama again. I'm like, I'm afraid if you go to work, you're not going to go back. But anyway, that's another, so kind of that push-pull relationship with a young adult, which is quite interesting. But anyway, so yeah, that was it. And I say that number, when I say that number, what I always want people to hear or to ask when you ask, okay, what does that number mean? It's a big number. But what it really means is that I've tapped into two things, and I think this is really important. So it's the money on the school side, the institutional side, and it's the private money. And I don't believe in an either or. Some people will just target schools that are simply affordable, and, they don't think about the money, they just target the school. And then some people say, oh, well, we're not going to worry about, cost. They apply and without thinking about affordability in the factor at all. And then they show up in the spring with all of their offer letters for these great schools, only to have disappointment and emotions that they could have avoided had they had these money conversations. So we're doing the whole process all the way through. So that's why I say that. And so that 700 represents, he applied to 8 colleges. He got into all 8. He won very generous scholarships at all 8 of the schools, as well as private money that goes with him whatever school he goes to. So yes. Yeah.
So you said that you usually work with parents and students once they hit 10th grade.
Ideally.
10th.
So,
okay.
Right. So I get some seniors. I get a lot of seniors actually, because sometimes when you're so far from the finish line, you just can't, you're just not thinking college. You just aren't. Some families, I have a few 10th graders, 11th graders, and of course, mostly seniors. So there are very few families who may hear me on a podcast or read about me in an article or something and hear me say 10th grade, and they say, oh, let me at least schedule a call. I hadn't thought about that. And so, but most show up in their senior year because it's like pulling it all together. So yeah, so if you have time and what I really want the listener to hear, if you have time, plan it. Like we plan everything else. The way we plan a vacation, we get our best vacation deals when we book far enough in advance.
Yes.
The best prices, the best view,
yes.
The best of everything. So, let's think about college planning the same way if this is the path that your student's going to take.
Okay. So let's say, because I know that I get questions from listeners, people who are on my Facebook page, how do you homeschool high school? And this kind of flows into the college planning. How do you homeschool high school in a way that can help your child be accepted? So that's kind of the overall question. And I guess that can be 2 questions, which is, first, can homeschoolers get into college? And you did the bulk of your homeschooling. You didn't do online schools or...
So we did co-ops. I'm a part of a local co-op. And so they go there once a week, middle, elementary, and like twice a week. It's more like after we did biology with my son at home on the kitchen table with the frog, I was done. I'm like, You know what? I'm outsourcing science. Yeah. And I'm a STEM girl. I love it. So I do a hybrid, and then my kids do some dual enrollment, but I'm the one reporting. I'm the one responsible. I'm the one, I issued the diploma and made the little,
okay,
all of that. So transcript, all of it.
So for the parents, because a lot of parents, and I know in some states it's different, but for a lot of parents, they're thinking, well, in order to homeschool high school, I've got to do an online program, and I have to do an accredited program in order to be able to get my kid into college. So can you, and I know you've got one son in college now, and you've got a child who you're preparing the process, or you're doing the process with right now. So can you explain to us, because you did co-ops, so those aren't official classes,
right?
Those aren't
more
the
fun,
accredited
right? Yeah.
classes. How did you do those classes and prepare your transcripts? If you can kind of give us an overview for parents who are looking at high school and beginning to freak out because they don't know what to do, because you said he got in all 8 of the colleges he applied for, and you never did the accredited online thing. You traditionally homeschooled your child. So tell us about that.
Sure, absolutely. So starting in the 9th grade year, or at least the summer before, because some of the stuff you're kind of, going along and you're just doing, but, you really want to start in that 9th grade year and you want to focus on those core courses. So we're looking at English, math, history, science, and foreign language. So, we did 4 years of English, which is literature. So English lit. We all do 4 years of math. We do 4 years of science and at least 3 with a lab. So lab would be biology, chemistry, and physics. And then we do, what was the other one? History. We do 4 years of history. 1 year of history is half a year of economics, and the other half is civics. Okay. Civics and economics. And then at 2 years of the same foreign language.
Okay.
At least 2 years. And then we add electives. We added driver's ed. In our state, homeschoolers can take driver's ed one time for free with the local school or through the YMCA at no charge. So they, do that and pass that. And then I also added somewhat as electives, whatever they're interested in. So my daughter's big in activism. So that's kind of like her elective. And my son was a lot of art. And my next one up loves politics. And so, those are his electives. So that's pretty much it. But I would say make sure you have those core courses, your 4 years of English on that transcript. And I'm going to give you a tip in a second. English, math, history, science with lab. Don't forget the lab, foreign language. And we also add Bible in as well. And that's on the transcript. What I would say is if your student knows, or as you're beginning to move towards some schools that are of an interest to your student, or pick your local university. If you live in, I don't know, wherever, pick your local university, simply go to their website, look for their admissions requirements, look for what they require. And the reason why this is important, because some of the highly selective schools also require not only your SAT or ACT test, but some will require at least 2 SAT subject tests. Some are requiring 2, some are requiring 1, and some will consider it if you submit it, which means, to me, I always tell my students optional is not an option. So if it's being considered, do it. So I build that into as well. So we do kind of test prep, it's an elective. Test prep is an elective, as well as building in those AP exams in the spring, as well as when you master the subject, whatever the SAT subject is, you're sitting for the exam. So this is why you need at least the 10th grade. Like mama start in the 9th grade thinking, don't stress your kid out and pressure them and, just do it, just plan it out for them and let them do it. So my kids were doing it and it was very kind of behind the scenes. They didn't know what I was doing, all the work. They just kind of did that next thing that I told them to do. And then you just track it. Again, every state is different. Our state is very easy in that we just have to report days, but,
and you're in Delaware?
Delaware, correct. I'm in Delaware. So we just have to report 180 days. And, but I knew and I used a template off of HSLDA's website. They have one there. And maybe I'll find it so you can link it to your listeners. Yeah. And it's just like, it has 4 quadrants almost, like 4, like a square. So first year, second year, third year, fourth year. And I just used a calculator to calculate each semester grade and the cumulative, so the first year it's the same. And then that next year it's the semester GPA and then the cumulative over 2 and so on to get their overall. Now I did do this. Because my kids were taking classes in co-op and classes at home, I actually did have them do dual enrollment for a couple of reasons. Number one, I wanted to lighten my son's course load so he could focus on his minor. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, what he wanted to major in and minor in. And so I said, well, let's lighten some of your classes so you won't have to take a whole lot when you're doing your senior thesis. So we're so glad we did that now that he's in his senior year. So glad. And he was able to jump in his minor. And this last year is much lighter of a load because of that. So he took it was humanities courses. So he did like a Western mythology and the Holocaust or so. It was like, just humanities courses that would transfer over as his liberal arts credits. He couldn't transfer any core courses. You had to take them at the university. Yeah. That's what I always tell families. If you're thinking, and I can go in all kinds of directions with this conversation, so pull me in if you need to. Yeah. So as you're thinking course planning at the top of the year, maybe summer, looking ahead for 4 years, and then maybe breaking it down by a year, what you want to do in those big milestones. If you're doing dual enrollment, just ask yourself, why are we doing this? Why are we taking these college courses? Mm-hmm. Is it that I want to validate grades? Is it that we want to see if my student can handle the rigor of a college atmosphere? And I actually had my son sit in the classroom. I wanted him to go and he would drive there, because I knew where he was going. Eventually you were going to be 16 hours away from us, right. A 2-hour flight. So I wanted you to sit in that classroom, handle those discussions, those tough discussions, and process all of that while, in the safety of the home.
Yeah.
And he did very well. I mean, very well. So, and my daughter is currently taking same thing. She's dual enrolled. So she's doing some co-op classes, some classes at home, and dual enrollment as well. Her goal is slightly different. She's transferring in so she can get out a little bit sooner. Mm-hmm. So she wants to get in and out and be done and move on with life. She's got too much to do to be bogged down with college. And so, yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the overall with academic planning and the transcript. Just think. And again, I would say I would rather do that extra math, do that extra science and not need it than to get at the end of it all and say, oh, wow, I wish we had done a foreign language, or I wish we had, whatever, and we didn't do it. So I would say do it. And maybe not need it than to not have done it.
Okay. So with the co-ops, did the co-ops give grades, or did you assign a grade? And then also with the stuff that you did at home, how did you grade it?
Sure. So I'll start with the co-op. So our co-op is very, what's the word? They're very academic focused. So they have a local Christian high school, which is very close to our home. Like we can cut through our neighbor's house and get to it. Mm-hmm. And you can take classes there. My son's second year, he took 2 classes in the morning. I'll say this real fast, because I knew I wanted him to experience getting up. I'm like, you're going to go away and you're not going to be able to get up. I'm not going to be there to shake the bed and, and kind of, and sing the good morning song. You got to get up. So that works when you're like 8, but at 18, and we did that. We were like, can he get up? And of course he surprises us. He has like for the last year an 8:00 on a Monday class.
Oh,
and I'm like, who does that off a weekend? He's like, Mom, that's the best. It's over. It frees up he has an all-day Wednesday and he's finished early Friday. I'm like, okay. So yeah, so our particular co-op actually they do grades. They turn it in. They take the test at home and you have to watch them. It's not open book, things like that. And you time it, put in an envelope, seal it, but the teachers grade it. They upload the grades and all of that. So that's a great introduction. What worked for us. And it's been such a blessing. And they start that in their middle school year with the grades. And it feels like school to them. My kids love it. They trade lunch. I'm packing one thing. I'm like, this isn't what I packed. Whose baggie is this? So they really love that. And so that's a great co-op experience. We've been a part of so many different co-ops. When we landed on this one, we stayed here. We parked on this one. This one's like perfect because I don't even have to teach. They actually, within their church, a local doctor teaches anatomy. He taught my daughter, in her class anatomy. He takes off one day a week. And so it's such a great staff. It's such a blessing. It's a huge gift. At home, I would just do the grading. So I, whatever it was. Now I tend to be a little bit more lax. So I tend to go for more the electives. And more of their passion projects. And I do more project-based learning. And I've always been like a lab book kind of person and a unit study kind of person. I like that, learning about a subject from many different angles.
So you found in high school you could still do.
I continued it. Absolutely. I'm trying to think what's a great example. All the way through with my son. what he did was an animated film, and he used a pig in this story. It's still on YouTube, and he was in high school and he's had the sweetest voice. It's still there. But he animated, because I said, I don't care. You can write a paper, you can do a presentation. I just need to know that you understand this. And he decided to animate, and, works out well because he's in art school now. We knew that's what he wanted to do. So I tend to take what their passions are and build around it. With my daughter, she has a strong heart for missions. She's back and forth to Nairobi, Kenya. She's 17. She's been on her 6th trip. Just got back a few days ago. Yeah. And she has a 501c3 that she runs. So and it's not like I grade her for it, because how do you grade that? You don't.
Right.
But she's involved with fundraising. She has a board. They meet regularly. She's filing her annual report. That's an A to me.
So do you include that as part of her transcript?
So I did. Because it's meaningful to her.
Yes.
And this is the beauty of homeschooling. I don't want my homeschool transcript to look like the high schooler next door. I don't. I'm a homeschool mom. I make it look like a homeschool transcript that reflects what's important to her. It's actually a 2-page transcript. So it has the academic piece, and the other side somewhat looks more like a resume in terms of projects. And the project-based learning. So, and I know this is audio, but so it's like the 1 page and then the grade. So with the quadrant. So this is her actual transcript with all her different projects and volunteering and her impact projects. So that's what we submit. And I did the same exact thing for my son, and I'll do the same exact thing for her and my next one. And what's funny is no one told me to do it. It just felt right.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally felt right, because to me, this is what he was doing, and I wanted to share that. And because it was what he was proud of, and it's what he loved, and it's where he excelled. So it just made sense. And I think a lot of times we don't trust our guts as moms. We're too busy trying to do everything right, check all the boxes out of fear. But it worked, and I will continue to do it. And even this go round, and she's applying for a few 2 selective schools, not very selective, but pretty selective for what she wants to do. And that's the transcript they're getting, because that's who she is. That's what's important to her. So that's the one thing earlier when you said, kind of what we would talk about in terms of planning. I would just say focus on what is it they love. Why is college the next natural step? And I'm always asking myself that question as a mom. It's easy to automatically say, well, your dad and I went to school, your grandparents went to college, because my parents went in college. So your grandparents went to college, your dad and I went to college, you're going to college. Well, I let them give a little bit of pushback as to, is this the right thing, and is this now? Do we wait? Even with my daughter, with her nonprofit, we're going back and forth. Do you focus on, because school can be a distraction when you're trying to run a nonprofit and organize your team.
Yes.
It really can be, and we've got two examples. Twice we canceled her sitting for the SAT because one, she was working on a global water project for water. Yeah. And she's like, Mom, I can't sit. She needed to be at this function.
Yeah.
It happened twice. And the other time she was in Kenya for the ACT.
Oh, wow.
And I said, don't even worry about it. To me, it's just, you'll land on your test score, and that's it. And we'll be done with it. So she was just busy running her nonprofit. And I think where she lands will value that. I kind of use it like the dating analogy, like the person that's right for you will just love you. Not everybody has to love me.
Yes.
I only need one person to love me,
Right.
And he does. And I only need to love one person. And so we're just a good fit for each other. And so that's really how I try to guide my kids and really my clients, what's the next natural step? Because you don't want, I've seen kids go off and they're not ready, or they're depressed, or they're pursuing a major that mom and dad wants because that's the one that's going to pay. It's not what they want to do, or they're attending a school where they really don't want to attend. So, there's so many layers, and it's just really important to have conversations often and early about expectations. And, I tell my kids, I love you no matter what. I'm always going to love you. Like, what, so I'm just here to support you. Let's work this out. Let's figure this out. I want you to grow and be the best. If I've taught you well and you love learning, you're going to always love learning, whether it's Googling it, whether it's taking an online class, whether it's sitting in a in an actual classroom, a virtual classroom, a college campus. Somebody attends a lecture, comes in locally, and you see it on a billboard and you're like,
right.
Oh, this looks cool. I think I'm going to go. I just want you to love learning. I hope I did that enough. At the end of all this, you just want to grow as a person.
Yes.
And yeah, that's like one of my biggest goals.
So what's interesting about your story about your high schoolers is this. You have described a very traditional homeschool where you're making sure all the academic classes are taken care of. And it sounds like you're doing your STEM classes at the co-op, you're doing the college major humanities at dual enrollment. And then at home, you're doing more of a project-based, or are you doing history at home?
We do. I love history. And I love my third kid loves history. So that's where I didn't always like history, but he helps me to love history. And so he actually wants to major in history. He's 16. He's a junior and he loves history. And because of that, I'm like, I'll dive in with you. So we're starting to do more of that at home. And then we can incorporate history that's important to us, like, so, different areas of history. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we do that often. Yeah.
So then you're doing the project based. So, a lot of people, when they're thinking about homeschooling high school, they think that, you have to just do hard charging academics. And so I love the way you have a blend of what would probably be seen as homeschooling styles. But one of the things you focus on, yes, while you do make sure they have the academics that they need, you prepare them for college, whether if they're going to go or not. It's best to prepare. I personally believe that, so that if they choose that, then they're prepared. But you also believe in letting them direct their education and pursue the things that they love. So it's almost like an unschooling. It's like that portion of your homeschool is unschooling.
It feels like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure to my husband, honestly, it really does. Because he's always like, what are they doing? Like, what are they? I'm like, don't you see how amazing your kids are? You're welcome.
But I think that's really great for people who have high schoolers who are looking at homeschooling their high schoolers to hear that you can really do a bit of all of it. Now, one of the things that I hear a lot of people talking about is they're always talking about volunteer work. And, some people talk about, my oldest is in 7th grade, so I don't know. But I hear a lot of people talking about volunteering like it's the magic bullet. And I'm always thinking, well, I think it's got to be more than volunteering. And what I'm hearing from you is that both of your children, and this is what I would think, is that your children are passionate about something and they are all in it. And I think that that's a huge difference when you're talking about what your daughter is doing and the things that your son did, which if you could share what your son did, because I've heard the story about what your son did. So that people can hear the difference between I'm just doing some volunteer work, some random volunteer work, versus I am pursuing my passion and I am, I'm all in this passion and I'm making a difference with my passion. I think that's a big difference. So
absolutely.
Can you kind of talk about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because a lot of times parents want to check off boxes.
Yes.
We did X number at the food drive.
Yes.
We were at the nursing home so many hours.
Yes.
We, check. That. And there's this hodgepodge collage of this that tells me nothing about who you are or what you love. And I think what helps, I really do have a unique perspective being a mom, a homeschool mom who's graduated one. But I'm also on the other side where I work with families and I, as a college admissions consultant, I do so many tours, anywhere between 20 and 30 tours a year. And I'm often invited in as parts of like groups of college admissions counselors where schools kind of either show us the back end or talk to us about what they're looking for. And so one thing I hear over and over again, and I love this word, and I only heard it in this context, but I'm like, this is such an amazing word. And it's intellectual curiosity. They want to see intellectual curiosity. And that doesn't come, we've heard the saying, like, I've heard a veteran mom say once at a convention, I never look back and say, oh, I love this textbook,
Yes.
I'm going to miss, my kid never said that.
Yes.
It's all those moments and the learning and the hatching baby chicks and whatever we do as homeschoolers, all that kind of cool stuff that we can totally do. So back to the volunteering. Yeah, I would say we have such an advantage as homeschoolers. I don't think we realize it because I think our ultimate goal, so we have to step back. Number one, reflect, why are we homeschooling? Because we don't have to be like the person next door who sends their child to an institutional or traditional school. So why are we doing it? And because we're doing it, what can we do that our peers can't do?
Mm-hmm.
That other moms can't do? There's so much that we can do. And let's take advantage of that. And so, and of course, you have to know your state's guidelines and requirements and all that. So that's a disclaimer, but that's kind of foundational, basic. But after that, go with their interests. So I will say this for my son, and I'm gonna come back to the volunteering, but I'll say this for he's an art kid. He's a visual thinker, creative thinker. He's doing extremely well in art school, but his physics was physics for animators.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, yes.
Where'd you find that? At the
that was found online. I found it online. It was a MOOC, the MOOC, the online course, the free, you log in through edX. Never heard of that.
Please send me the links.
Yes, edX and Coursera, two of my favorite. I will send you those links.
Okay.
Free. They're offered by MIT and Yale and Stanford and this school and that school. And yeah. Okay, so for those of you listening, her jaw just dropped. You didn't see that visual, but
please do.
Yes.
Put that in the.
Yes, I will give you this other quick tip. I've got like full of tips. I hack some college credits as well for my students. So we did sociology, or they did it. I did it too, actually, because I'd never taken sociology and I found it super fascinating.
It is.
So we did it. Yeah. I had never thought about it. I'm like traditional STEM, math, science, love all that stuff.
Yeah.
And only did the electives that I had to do, and sociology wasn't one of them. And, so we did it together online, whatever the course was, but it was through edX. Mm-hmm. And then for my son, he sat and he took the CLEP exam, college level exam placement. So the CLEP, you pay the exam fee, and it was probably max 100 and something, no more than 200, for the, the day of like the pay for the test. I think it was like $85 or something, and minimal test, and to register, and nothing, not a lot. I mean, compared to like thousands of dollars and hours, of a semester course. Took the exam and passed it. And so we clept in a couple that way, simply using free courses, and that went on his transcript as well, as sociology. So that was a tip. I see, this is why you have to pull me in, Judy, because my mind will go all over the place. So anyways.
Well, this is really great for parents who are listening to this. I think even if you're not homeschooling, because Pam works with people who are not homeschooling. So I want to say that just where we're talking about homeschooling, because this is for a homeschooling podcast, but you don't have to be homeschooled to work with Pam. But this is all the wisdom that you can get from her if you're working with her. So yes, continue about your son.
Yes. So back to volunteering. So what he did, he always has he's always drawn. He's loved to draw, and he loves superheroes and, like graphic novels and things like that. And so he just started mentoring. He started with a camp. It was actually a free camp, and it's like little boys signed up for it, like maybe 7th, 8th graders. And I still have those pictures, but he would teach characters using characters. So he would talk, and what was really interesting was he remembered things from literature that I literally thought he really wasn't paying attention. Uh-huh. So he's drawing, he's like, and the antagonist is this and this, and the protagonist is, and I'm like, because I remember watching him the first time and he's normally a shy kid, like it was very reserved. In college, he's found his people. So he's totally found his tribe in college, but, and he was a little bit socially awkward and all that. And so he was somewhat shy. So it was kind of great to watch him mentor, young boys and pour into them using drawing and art. So he created this project called the Superhero Project. And it actually went from school to school. It just kind of grew his junior and senior year. And so he was doing it at community centers and local schools. And sometimes I would take him, sometimes he would drive, sometimes my husband would take him. But my husband would always take pictures, and literally like on the little circle mat, you've got like the kids just looking at him, just, he's drawing Batman or whoever, and he's just talking and they're just listening. And he just talks about how you have to rally around your teacher to save the day, and, and distractions and like language we would love to hear as moms. I'm like, like whose kid is this? Totally shocked me. And so he won a lot of scholarships based on that service project, that leadership, local community awards. But it was literally just something he loved. And I keep telling him, you'd make such a great teacher. Like he's like, no, I'm going to work in industry. But I'm like, but when you get married and settle down, you may want to be an art teacher. But anyway, but he is great. And I think and here we go back to homeschooling. He's got younger siblings. He's, always around, his grandparents. It's that whole mixed age, all of that. When that's all you're comfortable talking to. You can be 17 and talk to a 7-year-old, and you're not like bothered by them. Like they can come around you while you're drawing and you're just talking to them, and you're not like, get away, little person. Yes. So I think we have. Wow, we have such an advantage, sort of like our superpower. We really haven't tapped into it, and we just need to work with it. I mean, I just think as homeschool moms, it's an advantage. And I will say this too, again, being on the other side, many colleges and universities actually have a separate focus for homeschool students. A lot of them really do want us. I hear that over and over. We're coming in, we're more disciplined. We're coming in, we know how to study on our own because we've been in co-op. So we're, they're sitting, listening, they're coming home. We're better time managers. We're a little bit more passionate, more compassionate. So you'll on several websites, you may see, admissions for like freshmen, maybe transfer students. If you're a homeschooler, they may have some extra steps like, here's your admissions person. And when we do tours, I go right in and tell them, of course, I always have my college admissions ears on. I'm thinking and asking questions, but I'm asking, then I shift to mom real fast. And I'm like, okay, so we're a homeschool family. And I'm like, I'm going all in. All right. So what are you going to need from us? And, what does that look like for us? And I let them know. And we're proud of it. Unlike, years ago when it was scary to be a homeschooler. Sure. Yeah.
Sure. It's just not so anymore.
It's not. It's cool.
What I'm finding. So yeah. So tell us, for those moms who do have homeschoolers out there who are in a panic, tell them how you can help them with Scholarship Shark.
Yes. So first, breathe. Just breathe. Like it's going to be okay, because really our kids take on whatever we put out there. So when we're anxious and we're afraid and, they feel it, and we don't want that for them. Bottom line, we don't want that. But I have several resources. I'm a podcaster. I love podcasting as well. And so I have the Scholarship Shark podcast. I focus on college admissions and scholarships. And I'm also a college admissions consultant. So we do work with families in one of two ways. We do very few, because it's myself and I have another consultant. We do a few private. We tend to focus on students in specialty in terms of our student athletes. So our NCAA, helping them, because that's a little bit deeper process, or our visual performing arts students and our STEM students. So we take a few private clients in those categories. And then but the bulk are in our group coaching program, and we walk them through the entire process. So working with the student, I work one-on-one with the student, and with the entire process. But we also have what's called Parent University, where we're meeting with the parents, updating them with what I call now and next. So this is what we're working on now, and this is where we're going to next. So they're involved in the process because it's their kid, but really educating them. And I love working with the students because A lot of times, I think if a consultant works just with the parent, the student is so clueless. They have no skin in the game.
Yes.
None. I'm making them do the calculations. You're going to know your family's number, and you're going to figure out, what is this school going to cost you? You need to know affordability, So it's what I did with my kids, and so you're going to know. And I think when you do that, you appreciate your education, and you especially appreciate when you win money. You're very wise. I've heard students get scholarships, none of my clients, but get scholarships, lose it. Not a one, thank the Lord. And they lose it because they don't do what it takes to keep it.
Right.
And you work so hard. I mean, my goodness gracious, maintain it. But they don't know. Mom did all the work.
Right.
So that's probably like part of a kind of a flip caution too. We tend to do so much as homeschool moms. We have to begin to back up and let go and delegate some of that. But anyway, so yes. So the podcast and our programs, and you can just find all that on the website at thescholarshipshark.com. And you just click on the services tab. You'll see the courses, and then you also see the podcast under the resource link.
And we'll have the links attached to this podcast as well.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I guess you've had one go through high school, and you have one who's about to go through high school. I was the oldest kid, guinea pig. My oldest is definitely the guinea pig. So what did you learn from homeschooling your son in high school that you may or may not be doing differently the second time around? Because you have two in high school now, right?
Correct.
And I know every child is different, and so you have to parent every child differently. Yeah. But we always learn with the first child, guinea pig. So what did you learn with your first child that you're doing differently?
I think I am enjoying it so much more. I know it sounds crazy, but I was because again, I felt like, okay, I'm mom, I'm guidance counselor. He's our first one. I don't want to hear families saying, I knew you shouldn't have homeschooled. You should have put him in school. It's just that pressure. Like, when is he going to go to regular school? Every Christmas, every family reunion, and it's like, so, for him to have gone in and have done really well, it was like, that was just the best thing. It was everything. Yes. So I definitely say I just feel more comfortable. I feel more relaxed. I feel more comfortable. I feel more, okay, so you're going to miss the SAT. I'm a little mad that you just wasted your dad's money because it's beyond canceling it and, paying the fee to add it to another day. It's okay. It's okay. And I can tell she is just much more confident and comfortable as well. My poor son, I feel like, I probably, and now we're in that next the stages of this, which I'm trying to calm down with, okay, so where are you going to live? And this company is where? And,
with your son, right.
My son, it's a whole new thing with this parenting a young adult and helping him think through his next steps. And are you sure you don't want to go to grad school? Okay. It's just all of that. And it just doesn't end as a mom, I feel like. But what I feel like we can minimize, it's like a nice decrease of the stress level, It's like with anything, that first kid, like you said, you're learning the next one. And my poor little 9-year-old, she's just, it's like, she's super independent. She can just figure stuff out. I'm like, how'd you learn to do this? She's like, oh, I just learned whatever. And, she'll either Google it or speak in the thing and say whatever. Awesome. I'm like, okay. So we get better. We get better with each one.
Yes, we do. So do you find that you do your homeschool differently, or are you pretty much doing that the same?
I'm pretty much doing it the same. I think it works well for me. Like it literally is still the same dual enrollment co-op at home. Yep. And I didn't realize that until you kind of pulled that out of me. I was like, I guess, because I've always done that. I've always been very eclectic. I have tons of curriculum because I never know what I'm going to wake up that morning and want to do, or,
That's so funny because I am the same way.
Yeah, it's true. I'll say this. I don't know how much more time we have, but we were doing a read aloud once about a little boy in China. And all of a sudden I said for lunch, because we're in Delaware, I said, let's go to Philadelphia and walk around Chinatown. And they're like, okay. And we just hop in the car and go. And
I love it.
it was just fun, and
I love it.
Yeah. And so, those are just moments. That's what it's about. But it was just great. And I have like so many great moments where we end up literally, it's like God just orchestrated at the right place. And you meet someone who tells a story to your kids, like a veteran or somebody. And you're just like, I could not have orchestrated this moment. Like I couldn't have found it in a book. It wasn't in a curriculum.
Right.
I could not have planned this a month out. Like, wow. So don't miss those moments. Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that, you found that it's still okay to chase those rabbit holes and to not just be 100% beholden to curriculum, even in high school, because that's where a lot of people, that's where they think that they have to be. And I know that's going to be difficult for me because I think I have similar personality and that's awesome. So do you have just kind of parting shots? I always ask people,
sure.
What do you say to the parents who are about to embark on this high school, trying to get my kid in the college journey? Just parting shots.
Yeah. So I would say start with who they are. Just focus on who are they, how are they uniquely made, and then think about what is the next natural step. And what's the best way to learn and grow as a person. Again, looking back and seeing it with other families, I know like they really do turn out a whole lot better than number one, we think. Number two, we give ourselves credit for it. And number three, then a lot of their peers, they really do. And, I would just say, I think we're doing a better job than we give ourselves credit for. I do. I just feel like we're really doing well. Of course we're not perfect but I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we've got a lot. It's like we're living under the bubble and a lot of eyes on us, or we perceive eyes. So I would think that. And I will say this again too, being on both sides with colleges. I mean, there are colleges that want kids who are creative and passionate and compassionate and show empathy, and they want our kids. And there are some great schools out there, some great liberal arts colleges. They will reward your student financially for it. So I would say find out who they are first, and then what's a good fit for them, that next step, and go for it and enjoy it. I don't think we enjoy it enough. Enjoy it. Like this time I'm just like, this is really nice.
It's so hard. It's hard. It's so hard. People tell me to enjoy my kids at this age. And I'm like, enjoy a 12-year-old? Really? Really? Like, yes. So, you don't know, the next step, you'll be looking back on this with fondness. I'm like, really?
And it goes by fast.
That's what they say.
It does. It doesn't.
It's hard to embrace it when you're in it.
Right.
But I hear you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Pam.
Thank you,
and we will look forward to hearing from you again.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, one more thing before you go. As a valued member of How to Homeschool Radio, I want to help you and hear from you not only when you're listening to the show, but all day, every day. I have a new Facebook group called How to Homeschool, and it's a place where you can get together with other homeschooling families to get support, offer support, and interact real-time to homeschooling issues that are most important to you. If you want to be a part of this growing community, see the latest videos and get live answers to your homeschooling questions, go to judysardin.com/homeschool podcast. Or you can just hop onto Facebook and search for How to Homeschool under groups. Drop me a note to let me know when you join. I can't wait to see you there.